Have you ever noticed how, after learning a new word or concept, it suddenly seems to appear everywhere? Maybe you hear about an obscure band for the first time, and within days, their name pops up in conversations, on the radio, and even scrawled on a coffee shop menu. This strange phenomenon, where something that was previously unfamiliar suddenly feels omnipresent, is known as the Baader-Meinhof Effect. It's also called frequency illusion, and it's a vivid example of how our brains filter and interpret the world around us. To understand the Baader-Meinhof Effect, imagine your mind as a vast library. Each day, you're bombarded with thousands of bits of information, words, sights, sound names, and ideas. But not everything gets filed away or even noticed. Most slip quietly into the background, never to be consciously recalled. The Baader-Meinhof Effect occurs when your brain, for some reason, shines a spotlight on a particular piece of information, compelling you to notice it again and again. It's as if a word or a concept has been plucked from obscurity and placed on the center stage of your awareness. But why does this happen? What is it about the mind's machinery that causes this sudden surge in attention? At its core, the Baader-Meinhof Effect is a combination of two psychological processes: selective attention and confirmation bias. Selective attention is the brain's ability to focus on certain stimuli while ignoring others. Think of it as tuning into a single radio station in a room full of static. When you learn something new, your mind begins to notice related information that it would have previously overlooked. Suddenly, the obscure word, the unfamiliar face, or the novel idea stands out in the sea of daily stimuli. It's not that the world has changed. You have. Your perception has shifted, and with it, the way you filter information. Confirmation bias, on the other hand, is the tendency to search for, interpret, and recall information in a way that confirms what we already believe or expect. When the Baader-Meinhof effect is triggered, your brain is primed to notice instances of the new information, reinforcing the illusion that it's everywhere. Each sighting seems to validate your suspicion that this word, idea, or phenomenon has suddenly become ubiquitous. The name Baader-Meinhof Effect has an unusual origin. In the late 1990s, a commenter on an online forum described how he had first heard about the West German terrorist group, the Baader-Meinhof Gang, and then encountered references to it twice more within a short period. Others on the forum shared similar experiences, and the term stuck. Today, psychologists prefer the more clinical term, frequency illusion, but the original name lingers as a quirky reminder of how such effects are woven into everyday life. The Baader-Meinhof effect isn't limited to words or bands. It can apply to almost any kind of information. After buying a new car, for instance, you might suddenly spot the same make and model everywhere on the roads. If you're expecting a child, you might notice pregnant women wherever you go. Once you become aware of a new fashion trend, you see it mirrored in shop windows, on social media feeds, and in the outfits of strangers passing by. In each case, the actual frequency of the thing in question hasn't changed. Only your awareness has. This effect reveals something profound about how the human brain works. We like to think of ourselves as impartial observers, accurately recording the world as it is. But in reality, perception is an active, subjective process. Our brains are constantly filtering, prioritizing, and interpreting the flood of information around us. The Baader-Meinhof effect is an example of how easily our attention can be redirected and how our sense of reality can be subtly shaped by what we notice. So, why does the brain do this? At first glance, it might seem like a flaw, a quirk of perception that distorts our understanding of the world. But there's a deeper logic at play. The brain is designed to be efficient. It can't possibly process every detail in the environment, so it uses shortcuts, known as heuristics, to focus on what's relevant. When something becomes newly relevant, such as a word you've just learned or a product you're considering buying, your brain flags it as important. This heightened awareness can be useful. It helps us learn, make decisions, and adapt to new situations. But this efficiency also comes at a cost. The Baader-Meinhof effect can trick us into overestimating the prevalence or importance of certain things. If you're worried about a health condition, for example, you might start noticing symptoms everywhere, in yourself and in others. If you're interested in a political issue, you might become convinced that it's dominating public discourse, simply because you keep encountering references to it. In extreme cases, this can lead to distorted thinking and reinforce anxiety or paranoia. The Baader-Meinhof effect is closely related to other cognitive biases. The availability heuristic, for example, describes our tendency to judge the likelihood of events based on how easily examples come to mind. If you keep noticing stories about airplane crashes, you might overestimate the danger of flying, even though it remains statistically safe. Similarly, the recency effect makes us more likely to remember things we've encountered recently, further fueling the illusion that they're everywhere. It's important to recognize that these biases are not signs of a weak or faulty mind. On the contrary, they are the result of the brain's remarkable ability to adapt and prioritize. Evolution has shaped us to pay attention to new and relevant information, because doing so can enhance our survival and decision-making. The Baader-Meinhof effect is simply one manifestation of this adaptive machinery at work. Understanding the Baader-Meinhof effect can also help us be more mindful of our perceptions. When you notice something cropping up repeatedly, pause and ask yourself, has its frequency really increased, or am I just paying more attention to it? This simple act of reflection can prevent you from jumping to conclusions or making decisions based on a distorted sense of reality. In our modern, hyper-connected world, the Baader-Meinhof effect can be amplified by technology. Social media algorithms, for instance, are designed to show you content that matches your interests in search history. If you search for information about a topic, you may be served related ads, articles, and posts, further reinforcing the illusion of ubiquity. What starts as a quirk of perception can be magnified by digital feedback loops, shaping not only what we notice, but also what we believe to be true about the world. Marketers and advertisers are well aware of this effect and often exploit it. By planting a brand or idea in your awareness, they make it more likely that you'll notice it again, and the more you notice it, the more familiar and appealing it becomes. This is why repetition is such a powerful tool in advertising. It takes advantage of the brain's tendency to prioritize what's already on its radar. The Baader-Meinhof effect also plays a role in how trends and memes spread. Once a critical mass of people become aware of a new idea, it can seem to explode overnight. But often, the idea has been percolating in the background for some time, only to suddenly break into mainstream awareness. The effect can create the impression of a sudden surge in popularity, when in fact, it's a gradual shift in collective attention. There are ways to guard against the distortions of the Baader-Meinhof effect. One is to seek out objective data. If you think you're seeing more of something, look for statistics or independent sources that can confirm or refute your impression. Another is to cultivate a habit of skepticism, question your assumptions, and be aware of the mind's tendency to focus on what's familiar or recently learned. The Baader-Meinhof effect is not just a mental glitch. It's a window into the workings of the mind. It shows us how attention shapes perception, how perception influences belief, and how easily we can be led to see patterns where none exist. By understanding this effect, we can become more vigilant observers of our own minds, better equipped to navigate the complexities of modern life. So the next time you find yourself noticing something everywhere, a song, a phrase, a face, or an idea, remember, you've just experienced the Baader-Meinhof effect. It's not that the world has changed overnight. Rather, your mind has entered a state of heightened scrutiny, tuning into signals that were always there but previously ignored. In this way, each new piece of knowledge has the power to subtly reshape your reality, one observation at a time. In the end, the Baader-Meinhof effect is a testament to both the power and the limits of human perception. It reminds us that what we notice and what we think we know is shaped as much by our minds as by the world outside. By embracing this insight, we can see the world with fresh eyes, aware of the filters that color our experience, and open to the endless possibilities that lie just beyond the edge of our attention.